So, one of the things that we spoke about on the Whole Woman's Way podcast with Wendy Rosenthal was this whole idea of the opponent. And so we thought, let's dive a little bit deeper into what is this thing called the opponent and how does it operate? And any other insights, tools, or strategies that we can get to kind of team up with, I'm not going to say beat the opponent, but team up with the opponent to have more power in our lives, have greater dominion over our environment, and have less opportunity for feeling frustrated, angry, upset because things aren't going our way. So, Wendy, welcome. Would love to hear from you more about this whole thing called the opponent. Let's dive in.
All right, I'm very excited to dive in, Sandy. And I want to just start by saying I love what you said about teaming up with the opponent. So I'm going to get to that, but let me tell you why that is super important. Okay, so the opponent, it's like I'm going to use a sports analogy, but it's not really about sports, of course. The opponent is it's an energy force. Okay, it's an energy force that is literally standing at the side of the bed as you are born into this world. Okay, and a lot of people understand it. I said this in the podcast as maybe that little devil on the shoulder or that voice in your head, that critical voice in your head. But really, what it is it's it's a force that is there for you to work against. We understand it, right? When we go to the gym, that if you don't have something to work against, some resistance, your muscles don't grow, right? There has to be that force. So this is like a complete natural thing. Now, the opponent, however, is very tricky because the opponent feels like it's us. This opposing force is so intelligent, right? It knows us better than we know ourselves, and it sounds like us and it feels like us. But the reality of it is, it isn't us. Okay, it really isn't who our true self is. It's really there, and it's funny because you think like, why would this happen? Why would we need it? Why do we have to go through this pain and all of that? Of this opponent telling us maybe things like we're so bad, we're all the things they say, we're not attractive, we're not smart, or da 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 da. The reality of it is if we don't have it, then we don't have a way to grow our muscles. We don't have a way to grow our intelligence, our spiritual inner world. We don't have anything to help push us to do more, to motivate more. And I will tell you, this is something we can talk about in another discussion, but our engine in this world is desire, right? And if we didn't have that opposing force, we wouldn't build our desire to want to do more, to be more, right? If we're not building our desire to do more and be more, honestly, we're not alive. I mean, maybe physically we're alive, but we're not alive. So this opponent is actually kind of our friend, okay? But Sandy, it's very tricky. It's very tricky because it looks for opportunities when we give it an opening to push us, right? And I think I used the analogy, it's like that trainer in the gym, right? Who comes in and says, okay, I need to put 10 more pounds on or your muscles aren't going to grow. So what the opponent ends up looking like is, let's say I want to be more patient, right? I don't want to be as angry in my work. Well, what the opponent's going to do is put me in a position and tell me that I'm angry, right? So that I can actually learn how to work against that anger. So for example, if I'm at work and my boss comes in and says, hey, you didn't do something the right way, and now you need to stay an hour later, and that's going to force me to miss my great evening out that I have, right? I'm going to start to get angry, and I'm going to maybe take it out on let's say my subordinate workers, okay? So, or my team, maybe subordinate workers is a harsh way of saying it, my team, my colleagues. In that moment, the opponent is putting on the weight of don't get angry, right? Bench press, don't get angry. And if we do get angry, then the trainer's going to just make us do more reps. And so we're going to see more opportunities in our world. We're going to see things in a way that, trigger our anger. So does this make sense?
Absolutely. Love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Brilliant.
all you're doing is getting the things that you need to work towards overcoming. And I say overcoming not in the way that you're never going to get angry. Like I work with my clients all the time saying the opponent is there from the moment we're born to the moment that we leave this world. Okay, you might be one of the most righteous people in the world, you still have an opponent because that's the playing field. Okay, so it's not about saying I'm going to overcome and never be angry because obviously there's going to be times that you're angry, but the trick is learning how to have that anger issue, but not give in to where the opponent wants you to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Brilliant.
Yeah, so that's really kind of the in-depth of the opponent. And the fact of the matter is when you work with the opponent, so in that moment when your boss came down on you and said you got to stay late and you're going to miss your whole evening, the trick is to say, "Hey opponent, I know you're there. I know this feeling in my stomach where I'm getting angry." Okay? And you kind of have to like say, "Hey, thanks for doing it. Now I see this is where if I learn to push against this reaction that I'm going to have, and I still can feel angry and I can still not be happy about it, but I'm not going to maybe take it out on all of my teammates or my coworkers. I will have grown just a little bit. My muscle got bigger." And then it's amazing, Sandy, what happens. The impact almost immediately takes shape. I have a client who had an anger issue and we started working on this. And I said, learning how to acknowledge that you have the opponents there, that the opponent's helping you, that you want to reframe the reaction. You don't want to suppress, but you want to reframe how you're feeling, and just take a beat and see it as being something that's there for you, not happening to you. See what happens. And it was like he called me the next week. He's like, "Oh my gosh, like everybody around me worked better." And I'm like, "Why?" And he said, "Because I didn't yell at them when I got frustrated." And I'm like, "And did you still express what you needed them to do?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I didn't yell." It's like, okay. So now it's like an easy way to see how when you work with the opponent to not go into the direction it wants you to go, but to work with it to build that muscle to get to where you want to go, it's like the effect it happens immediately.
Love it. Brilliant. I'm going to wrap up there because that was so deep and so rich. And I hope everybody who watches this got incredible value. And thank you so much for your generosity.
My pleasure. Look forward to talking to you again soon. And thanks for the opportunity.